What's up guys, welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we'll be looking at the 112 Collective Green Arrow figure from Mezco. And here's a quick look at the front of the box. You get a cool Green Arrow logo here in the center, and at the bottom it says Green Arrow and DC Comics. And then once you take the slipcover off, the box underneath is a little bit different. Instead of the Arrow logo, you have it just saying Green Arrow right here in the middle. And then when you open up the front cover, you get some really nice looking artwork. And then you're able to see the figure, but there's a bit of a glare, so it's hard to see. And then they usually have like a little piece of plastic covering them so that the hard plastic isn't crushing him. And then on the back you get a couple really cool shots of the figure. And that's about it. And yeah, I'm a really big fan of the Mezco packaging. It's always high quality. I think it goes good with the figure. It's collector friendly, so you can open up the box and put the figure back if you'd like. And that's it for the packaging. So let's take a look at the articulation. His head is able to go side to side. And then you've got some tilt to it. And then it goes back about that much, but his hood kind of gets in the way. And then you can bring it forward about that much. And he does have some kind of torso joint. I imagine it's just like the rest of the Mezco figures where you've got a joint here and a joint at the waist, but either way he doesn't get too much movement because of the straps and the way that his jacket is. His jacket has wires in the hood here, and it has wires down in here. I think there's wires in here actually, it's hard to tell, but I'm sure the wires run all the way through because they're up here and then they're down here. So either way, yeah, it really makes it hard for you to get any movement out of his torso. But if you force it, you can get it to crunch about that much. And you could get it to go side to side. But it's really, really hard. Let's see if you can get it to twist. Get it to twist a little bit there, but not really too much. But yeah, that's okay. So then you've got ball jointed shoulders, so they come out to the side. They could go all the way around, and his shoulder does have like a butterfly type of joint, which allows it to swing back and forth. But it doesn't have that much range of motion, but it does add a little bit to his overall arm articulation. The straps here do kind of get in the way, but yeah, come out to the side that much, and you've got upper bicep swivel. You've got double jointed elbows, and his hands are able to swivel and hinge. And for his legs, they could come out to the side about that much, and they've got an upper thigh swivel. They could come to the front about that much. Surprisingly, his skirt thing doesn't really get in the way. You're able to get his leg way up there. And then you could only get it to go back about that much. And then you've got double jointed knees that bend a really nice amount. And let's see here. And no, you don't really have a swivel here at the boot. I'm sure you could force it, because it's not like it's a connected piece, but it looks like it's holding in the cloth pretty good there. So yeah, it doesn't really move too much there. At his feet, you get a swivel back and forth and a little bit of rotation, but not too much. Can't really get his feet to rock that much at all. Can't even really get them to tilt too much either. Only go up about that much and only come down about that much. So he does have a good amount of articulation, but it's limited in a lot of places, especially in his torso and in his feet. But the one thing is, on his arms, you got more articulation than on your average Mezco figure, because you don't have cloth covering his arms, so you don't really have to worry about ripping the cloth while messing with his arms. So that's pretty cool. And like I mentioned before, you can consider the hood here articulated because it has a wire in it, so you're able to get it in some pretty cool different positions. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's a pretty good amount of articulation for Arrow here. And like all Mezco figures, he comes with a bunch of different hands. The first set here is just a set of fists. And then he has a set of gripping hands. And then he has a set that looks like he's pulling back on the string from his bow and arrow. And then he has a set of hands that look like he's releasing an arrow from his bow and arrow. And then he has a hand that looks like it's just used to hold on to an arrow by itself. And then he has another gripping hand that has a tighter grip that you could use to hold on to his dagger that he comes with. And here's a closer look at the dagger he comes with. It's really tiny, but it looks very nice. The handle's painted black and green, and the blade is like gray. Isn't really metallic or anything like that, just gray pretty much. But yeah, it looks really good. And here's a closer look at the bow that he comes with. It looks really nice. It's painted green and black and has some silver wear detail on there. It kind of looks like it's banged up a little bit. The only problem with it is it does feel a little fragile. I feel like it could snap if you're not careful with it. And that kind of sucks because the drawstring is really tight. So when you're trying to pull it back and get green arrow into cool shooting poses, it kind of feels like it's going to snap on you. I really hope that doesn't happen. That would be really unfortunate. But yeah, it does look really nice. And then he comes with a couple different kind of arrows. Surprisingly, he only has one standard arrow. And then he has a grappling hook arrow, a kryptonite arrow, and I'm not really too sure what you'd call this, but it's like a arrow with like a metal dart thing at the end. And then he has this triple arrow thing that's all connected together. And then you have this thing that you could stick into the back of his quiver here and make it look like he has a bunch of arrows in there. And as always, you have the Mezco Stand that you could either place green arrow onto the peg here, or you could pop that out. This one's a little tight in there, but you could pop that out and then use the opposing arm here to put green arrow on. So that's pretty cool. These Mezco stands are nice, but they're a little big for me, so I usually just I just throw them in the bin or whatever. I try not to display my figures with them because they take up too much shelf space. And here's a look at him standing on the stand. And here's a look at him using the opposing arm from the stand. Some size comparisons. Here he is next to Mezco Commander Rogers and Figure Arts Raphael. And here he is next to DC Icons Flash and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And then here he is next to DC Icon Superman and Mezco Dark Knight Returns Batman. And let's take a closer look at the head sculpt here. I think they did a nice job. I like the facial hair and the mask. I'm really happy they didn't go with the look of the Arrow when he's wearing like the hat. I'm glad they went with the hood and just the hair. And yeah, they did a really nice job on the sculpt. There's a bit of a paint wash. You could see they kind of went a little crazy on the paint wash around the ear, and the hair there, you could see it got a little excessive. But other than that, the paint and the sculpt is really nice. They did a good job. I wasn't sure how I felt about like the skin that I've seen on a lot of the Mezco figures, or at least on all the promo images. It kind of looks weird, but it usually ends up looking nicer in person, and I think that was the case with Arrow here. I really like the way that his face came out. And here's a look at the rest of the figure. I really like this design that Mezco came up with. I don't think that this is based on like a specific look for the Green Arrow. But it's really cool. It has like an old school feel to it, like an old Archer or like Robin Hood or something like that kind of feel to it. And yeah, it's really cool. The one thing that I was a little bit disappointed in was the fact that all these belts and stuff, they're just sculpted belts. For some reason, I thought that they were going to be like actual belts. And I don't even know why I thought that, because it's not like Captain America had actual belts or anything. But yeah, for some reason, I really just thought that he was going to have actual belts that buckle. But they do look okay, just sculpted like this. It just it was a little bit disappointing when I found out they weren't actual belts. But they did a good job at what they have here, so can't really fault them for that. I didn't really expect any other figures to have actual belts. For some reason, I just thought he was going to have them. But yeah, let's see here. So, and you got, I'm not even sure what these are, but they're sculpted nice. They look cool. They've got a nice paint wash. Oh, and then the arm guards here are really cool. You got some like battle damage going on there, and I think that's pretty dope. And let's see what else we got down here at the shin guards too. Have some damage, and they're sculpted really nice. And then you've got the stretchy, black cloth material for the legs. And then you've got wires running through his jacket lining. Actually, there's just wires right here and up here in the hood. There isn't any wires on the skirt piece. But yeah, I really like the way these wires work. It's pretty cool. There's a wire that kind of comes up through here and all the way through. And then there's also a wire back here, like in the back of the hood. So you've got some options there with this hood. I think that's really cool. I like the way they did that. I didn't know that they were gonna have this wire thing going on, so that kind of makes up for the fact that I was disappointed by the buckles. But yeah, it's really, really cool. I like the way they did this. It gives you some options to make them look pretty crazy. And another interesting thing here is this is the first time I think for a Mezco 112 collector figure that we have like his arms that are exposed. So that's sculpted really good too. As cool as it is with all the cloth and stuff like that, when I see how good they did here on his arm and stuff, and the face sculpt, it kind of makes me think that Mezco would make just straight up cool, regular, just 6-inch figures without the cloth. But I definitely like the cloth stuff. It makes it unique. But yeah, they do a good job all around on all the sculpting and all that cool stuff. And let's see here. You've got I don't know if it's called a quiver, but his thing that he uses to hold his arrows. And it looks pretty cool too. It's all dinged up. Looks like he's kind of been through it, Looks really cool. One thing that was surprising is the fact that these belts and stuff don't come off. I don't think there's any way to detach them or anything. This thing doesn't come off. He's got this here that is used to hold his dagger, and that doesn't come off, but his dagger just goes in right like that. It looks pretty cool. It fits in there nice and tight. And yeah, really, really good details and sculpting, and just a really cool overall figure. One thing that's kind of disappointing with this figure is the fact that it's really hard to get him into a arrow shooting pose. That's about as good as I could get it just trying real quick, but that's not very good. I'm sure people out there can get it posed better, but yeah, it's a little tough to do it because number one, the plastic on the hands is really soft, so when you have the bow in his hands and you're pulling the string back, he doesn't want to really hold it. And then also this string is on really tight. I wish that it was looser, or that this was something like a stretchier material. And I'm not sure how much this affects the fact that he can't hold the bow very good, but his elbow articulation kind of gets hindered by his arm guard here. I don't know, it kind of makes me feel like if he had better elbow articulation, then it might be easier for him to hold the bow, but who knows. But yeah, I do kind of wish that you could get him into some better shooting poses. I'm sure working with it a little bit, I could get something better than this, but just real quick, this is what I got. So overall, I really, really like this figure. I think Mezco did an amazing job again. They just continue to keep on killing it with these dope 112 collective figures. And yeah, Green Arrow's no exception. There's a few things that I was a little bit disappointed about, but I really had no reason to even think that the belts would have buckles on them. I don't know why I thought that, but that would have been really cool. But I don't know if I could really fault them for that. I do wish that the plastic that the hands were made of was a little bit more firm, because the bow just will not stay in there. Well, when you're messing with it, if you just have it in the hand, then it stays there and it's fine. But if you want to get them into any kind of shooting poses where you're drawing the string back, then yeah, it doesn't hold very good. And then I do wish that his arm guard didn't block his arm articulation. I mean, his elbow articulation. But those things are just minor gripes. Those are just things that stood out to me as things that could have been a little bit better. But overall, I really do love this figure. It's a really good. They did a really nice job. It's by far my favorite Green Arrow figure. I don't have that many of Green Arrow, but I'm not really much of a DC guy, but I've always thought Green Arrow was kind of cool. I'd always pick up his action figures every now and then. Like I had the DC Classics one. I have the Icons one. I like that one a lot, actually. But, this one tops them all. This is a really good figure. It's cool that there was so many plastic parts used on him as opposed to like Captain America or Dark Knight Returns Batman. So it's kind of cool to see what Mezco could do with just regular plastic stuff. I know they had the Hellboy toys and things like that, and they've done 6-inch action figures really good for a long time. But yeah, it was cool to see like on a Mezco 112 toy that it's a really good like combination of traditional plastic sculpted parts and the cloth stuff, rather than just mostly cloth stuff and like a sculpted head. Yeah, so it's a really cool figure. I'm very, very happy with it. I really can't wait for Flash when it comes to the DC guys. I really can't wait for Deathstroke, Darkseid. All those guys look really good. Green Arrow was like one of my most anticipated, probably my most anticipated DC figure, along with Flash. And yeah, he really didn't disappoint. Like I said, I have a few little gripes, but nothing major. Yeah, very happy to have him. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that cool stuff. And also, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to share it with your friends or whatever that are into action figures and stuff like that. I really appreciate that. I'm really trying to grow my channel. And, you know, cool. Yeah, thanks a lot for everyone who watches and stuff like that. And, yeah, that's it. Peace.